Okay, let's get started with Prime Minister, I guess. I made the decision not to go dancing tonight. I've gone when a lot less healthful than I am right now, but I just, and it's not even going to rain tonight. I thought it was going to rain, but it's just going to be very foggy, apparently. It would have been, I don't know. I just feel a little run down and just don't have the energy to push myself. And I don't know. I think I'm slowly letting go of all these things. All right. So let's take a look at what we do. Set up the round, which is going to create 6 points. Kind of weird to generate so many victory points right at the beginning of the game for nothing. So I'm going to look that up briefly. We're going to probably get the rules out of here, maybe move them over there. There we go. Yeah. Okay. And I've already handed the action cubes out to each player. And now it's bill selection. I believe it's 2 cards per backbencher. Let's take a look. Where do we have this? The drawing and proposing. The players may draw from the backbenchers in opposition. Each draw 2 and propose 1. They may not consult the PM. Now, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what the bills are going to be like and how they kind of factor into the play of the game. Which is to say that it might be in opposition's best interests to grab liberal bills and put them forward. Ones that, if the Prime Minister selects them, will break the 2 parties. On the other hand, maybe the pact is better and collect up points, at least for a while, within the pact. It's just not clear to me sort of what the best strategy is. And I don't have a great view on that in terms of where are the victory points going to come from, right? Is the government going to gain more victory points on its own than the opposition is likely to get? And that's where I've got a really tough situation here. I can look a little bit at these. I feel that putting liberal bills up and defeating them is a worthwhile goal, because that will hurt the government overall. And the current vote count is not very good. It's not very much in favor of the government. So I may be able to give them terrible choices. So, and I don't know, I think, what's the order here? Backbenchers and opposition leader each draw. It doesn't talk about an ordering here. And I don't think there's any kind of general ordering. And you're talking about choices that impact others, right? How much so? Not terribly, but if I see that you've pulled 2 liberal bills, I may be particularly interested in some other kind of, I might be more interested in not providing liberal bills, right? I might be more interested in providing my Prime Minister with, as the government backbencher, with other choices. And the same might go if there's a difference of opinion between the 2 opposition players. And this is a little painful. Now, here it's worded the opposition leader and any backbenchers. Here it's worded the backbenchers and the opposition leader. And again, there's no indication of any kind of ordering other than the ordering of the words, and they contradict. That's a little disturbing. I don't know. Perhaps we look for this initial thing over here. We get through setup. Did we start playing ever? I mean, okay, I'm assuming, okay, here we go. Here we got a line here. We don't say they're starting yet, but once the game setup is complete, players start the sequence of play. We skip step 1A, VP just, yeah? Okay. Why do we do that, and where does it tell me to do that? This is interesting. I'm finding things like that 6 victory points isn't supposed to happen, and the cubes aren't supposed to happen, right? But the first step is to set up the round. We skip step 1A, VP distribution. Following step B, the players take their action cubes. Okay, why do we skip 1A? Where did it tell me that? Because it felt natural to not have a victory point thing. I actually expected it not. I expected it to say not to do so. Start with 1B. Okay, that's why. All right, so let's go down to bill selection and see what they do. When players draw from either cross-party, conservative bills are not currently available. Before drawing begins, players are free to discuss strategy. Here we've got, so Russell has no chance of passing partisan liberal bills, but he does have a good chance of passing moderate cross-party bills, which are particularly good for earning popularity. Of course, he can also pass A bills that appeal to all government MPs, but these tend to be less valuable than M or P bills. Russell asks Roseberry to aim for moderate, while Derby suggests to Peel that they float some partisan liberal bills just to make things difficult. Okay. And now they go here. Roseberry is, I guess, with the government. Yeah. Since Russell talked to him, yes. You know, again, it doesn't appear to be that there's any kind of ordering implied in any of this. I find that troubling. I really do. Because whether you come to an agreement or not as to what you're going to do, seeing what other players do might be of some value at this point. I don't know what to... I don't know what to do. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow here the opposition leader and any backbenchers. So I think I'm going to alternate opposition leader, government backbencher, opposition backbencher. But I could definitely see a group of players coming to a, well, I don't want to draw a card until I see what you draw. And 2 of them saying that, and then you can't go on. And mentioned, hey, it might be easier to remember what you're doing if you don't flip the things but trade them. But honestly, there's not enough information. There's one number, essentially, that has to be remembered between the 2. Anyway. So yeah, I'm going to, as the opposition leader, I'm going to draw 2 liberal bills. Well, I draw one and I look. Universities Test Act. This is an all candidates, so it's very likely to pass. And then I draw another one, and I get a partisan purchase of land. I see Ireland Act. To redistribute the land in Ireland. I'm going to probably try to push this one forward. Just as a he. Now, from his side, he says, so what does the backbencher think here? Does the backbencher want the 2 parties together? I think so for a while. So we'll try a cross-party skill bill. This is going to be an all. Gives 2 victory points to each. Doesn't look terribly bad. And it would increase the middle class in favor of the current government. That's a pretty good card. Why don't we see what we get out of a liberal card? This is a partisan one, would give us lots of victory points. Disestablish the Protestant Church of Ireland. Disestablish. Probably isn't going to pass. We don't have a lot of partisans here. So we'll probably choose that one. How does he feel? He's not sure. He's not necessarily in favor of what the opposition is going to do. But I'm going to draw a liberal just to see what we get here. We get an all-party. So this would be a bad thing to hand him as a choice. But it's kind of a good thing because he might break and he might give the opposition more points. How do I feel about defeating bills particularly? I don't know. Again, it's like I'm really kind of blundering with what the strategy should be here. We'll draw another liberal bill just to check. This is an all-partisan one. Okay, we're going to agree, I think, to try to hand him... Oh, see, this hurts. So this hurts the Prime Minister's party. Both of these actually do. But this one hurts them with farmers and gentry, who probably are, you can tell by their partisan levels, probably pro-conservative anyway. And this hurts, the second one hurts them with conservatives. I'm going to give them the chance of passing one. Right? Because I would get something out of it. It might increase their victory points. Okay. So, the 3 that are chosen, I guess I'll turn face up. Technically, you would be handing these to the Prime Minister to look at. And let's see. Okay, so those are now proposed. They're handed to the Prime Minister. Or they revealed. You could reveal them to everyone. And then the PM gets to choose 3. I am being held an all-party, which I don't mind much at all. Do I want to break the alliance? Do I want to break the pact is my big question. Because if I select a liberal bill from my hand, and the coloration is different, right? Yeah, it's a little oranger for these. The all-party are a little darker colored. It doesn't look like it's a huge difference. So what would I be picking out of these? This is not a terrible choice. This does good things for me. This one is a partisan bill. I'm not going to get to pass it. I don't see any reason that I would pick this. This one we might pass. It would hurt us. So this is appealing. That's a cross-party bill. Which means I think I want to pick a cross-party bill. Dogs Act. An act to provide further protection against stray and dangerous dogs. Well, everybody likes that. That's fine. Let's pick another one. The Lunacy Act, an act to improve asylums. Neither of these has any effect, but they're both very popular bills. So I'm going to pull one liberal bill and see what that's like. Agricultural Children Act. Ban agricultural employment of children under 8. Not liked by The farmers, not liked by Ireland. Hard to pass, but it's an all-party. This is an all-party with a -30. We're probably not going to pass that. So I am going to select 3 all-party bills. All very popular, one of which gives me a supporter. I draw 2, keep 1. That seems useful. One of which would improve the middle class if we pass it. And now these liberal bills are all discarded. Now, I chose a bill from my backbencher. Does that give me a point? Each time you select a bill proposed by another player, that player immediately scores 1 point subject to pooling. Let's look for pooling. Oh, fuck. 3.0. I can't find, there's 3.0. We're in the pact. All VP scored by government or opposition is pooled and shared. At the start of the game, only the PP. If a bill fails or withdrawn, it does not take the VP bonus normally resolved by the, yeah. So I didn't take any of these any of the liberal ones. If I had, I would have broken the pact. So as it stands, we generate 1 victory point for everyone. After selection is complete, the backbenchers in opposition reveal their cards and throw them. Bill's projection is stated in parts. Okay, so let's look at this first one here. This first one is an all, so that's 330, which is at even, plus 10. So we're at the plus 10 point on that. That should get 340 votes as things stand. This one is at plus 20. Should succeed. This one is at plus 50. Everybody's in favor of lunacy. Okay. Interesting. Now where are we? Player action turns. First the government backbencher, then the opposition, and finally the PM gets to go. I'm going to break for a little bit. I'm like stressing too much about making decisions. I've made a lot of decisions on those 6 cards and then done a couple mechanical things. I just need to pause, puff my pipe, maybe watch a video or something. I'll be back. So PM action, player action. First we go to the government backbencher. He has only really 2 choices. We can look through his jobs and see what he'd need. Flatter ability. He does not have flatter, so he can't become a privy councillor. If he did, it would be close. He has campaign, but those are rather high numbers to reach. And Deputy Prime Minister requires just a lot of numbers. I have basically 2 choices. I could debate to try to improve one of these bills. They all look like they're going to pass, and I don't think I care. Or I can hobnob. I'm going to hobnob and get myself a supporter. And my supporter is Emmeline Pankhurst, a suffragette. That'll help me with liberals, hurt me with conservatives. Actually, it doesn't help me. It helps the party. Or I can point to someone else and hurt them, their party, with liberals. Well, fine. You know, not going to play it. Doesn't seem like a valuable time. At some point or another, I'll get to 4 of those, and I'll have to play them. Now we go to the opposition. The opposition, well, he sees No reason not to force the backbencher to go first, and for the same reasons, the backbencher is just going to hobnob. The Princess of Wales can improve royal favor to a given player, or can decrease the middle class for a given party. Well, clearly, increasing royal favor is worthwhile. I forgot to do the other thing I wanted to do here, which was look at these. Do I have flatter? I do not. He had flatter. Yeah, both of us would need more standing. Yeah, without flatter, I'm not able to take that position. That's the one I'm not going to be allowed to take, which is a shame because, well, I can't improve my standing. I don't see a reason to improve my favor quite yet. Not seeing any advantage at this point. Right? I'm going to have to get my influence up to be able to do any of those. So I'll hold mine as well. That puts me to the opposition leader. Now the opposition leader doesn't have any particular bonuses to getting favor or whatever. My level 2 is a hobnob, which lets me pull 2 supporters. Seems like a good idea. It only costs me 1 cube to do that. So we will do that. And draw 2 cards. Duke of York or Florence Nightingale. Nightingale helps me with the middle class, hurts me with workers, or hurts someone with workers, not me. Party-wise. Interesting, growing the party's powerful. Or here, the Duke of York, which could increase my own favor, or I could hurt somebody with the gentry. I think I'll take this one. I'll throw the Duke of York away. I've got one more action. I could do another hobnob. I could campaign, or I could flatter. I don't have enough influence. I can't do level 1. I also can't do that. I don't know. I honestly just don't know. I suppose I should help the party. Although there's no election coming anytime soon. Why don't I just flatter instead? We'll up ours by 1. That can't be a bad thing to do. And now we go to the PM, and I have an E there. What is that to remind me of? An event. Okay. Right. So we're just drawing events. We're not going with government questions. By-election. Great. Round off your electoral projections to the nearest 10. Now, nobody can, interfere at this point. My electoral projections right now are at even. Which means the by-election does not hurt me. This would have been a reason the campaigning could have hurt the Prime Minister. Okay. Good enough. But now, in addition, I do my normal things that I might wish to do. And let me make sure he did have hobnob. Yeah. What is my 2? My 2 is hobnob. I have everything but campaign. So I can't really strengthen the party, unfortunately, which makes me particularly bad. Now, I do not all these votes, one is just moderates. This is actually not as good as I thought it would be. Moderates is at 270 plus 50. I cheated there. 270 plus 50 puts me to 320. So this is actually a minus 10. This might fail if I'm not careful. How am I at influence? I'm okay. I'm good at hobnobbing. I will hobnob, draw 2 cards, pick one. I get Dickens, helps me with labor or hurts somebody with the middle class, great. Helps my party. Helps my party with Scotland. And I gotta remember, I'm the right-hand side here. I feel like I should be the left. Or plus or minus 10 on a particular vote. This looks more useful, I think. I could play that and improve my vote, but I don't think I want to do that yet. I think instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an influence. How am I at debating? I'm okay at debating. I'm going to do an influence and move 10 of these to here, to moderates. Now this is affected by moderates. It was at minus 10, now it's at plus 10. So I'm destroying the partisan nature of my party. For good or ill. Overall, I think that's probably a good idea. And then I'm going to debate this issue and raise it by 10, so I have a better chance of succeeding with it. That uses up my action turn, which means the PM gets to resolve a bill. You get an extra card from the Lunacy Act. We get something from that. Licensing is at plus 10. Why don't we go with licensing? So resolving a bill, we could agree, nah. I don't see any point, like the opposition is not in favor of necessarily keeping things as they are, but they don't really want to, they don't want to make it so that the PM doesn't have to work at all, right? Which means we can revolt by votes, and the only thing that happens is I have to go find me a die. Now, I did shuffle those cards, so I could just pull one right now, but I think that's for the easiest right now. So I'll just pull the top card, but from now on, I'm going to put the camera down, roll a die. I think it's easier than putting the camera down to reshuffle the deck afterwards. All right, so we're trying to pull the Dog Act, right? That was the one we wanted to do? No, we wanted to do the Licensing Act. So we're at plus 10. We flip one of these over, and it gets another plus 10. So the bill passes, which means 2 victory points are obtained for both players, or for all 4 players, and the middle class goes up by 1, which means we just gained 2 popularity. So we'll put the government here at 2 popularity. It doesn't affect the government MPs. We have passed the Dogs Act. I don't know. I don't feel too impressed. I'm going to keep it over here as a past one. I'll put the failed ones just in the box or something. Okay. And that has gotten us to the challenge phase. In order to challenge, You have to be at least the same status, I know that much, and nobody is in that position, so there will be no challengers at this point. This can go back to 0. There are bills on the board, so there's no election, and we go to the next round. I'm going to pause again. I'm feeling particularly fragile recently, and like today especially, like just this might involve doing a video, but like I could smell the smell of like potpourri that my wife used to keep in her room, and that's still the case in her room, but I could smell it in the kitchen. And kind of now, right now, it's like if I move something else to my nose, like my fingers, I can smell my fingers, and they smell of tobacco and maybe chicken. I don't know. Just tobacco. The other ones probably smell of chicken. But I'm getting this scent throughout the house in various times when I'm like aside, and it's just kind of weird, but I don't know. Anyway, I've been feeling a tremendous amount of sadness. I always do, but it may be just that my addiction is doing less of a powerful job of holding me in check. All right. Anyway, I will pause and we'll go through a couple more turns. A couple more turns. And maybe through an election before we load a video up. Okay, so back up. I want to, and die achieved. I want to point one thing out that's kind of weird. It has nothing to do with the game, but it has to do with my pattern of up and down, whether or not I'm at the game. My tea. And yeah, I know people complain that I don't clean my cup. That's fine. What's inside doesn't get very dirty. It just gets a lot of resin and it looks dirty as hell. What's outside, yes, my tobacco-stained hands make a mess out of my cups. But actually getting tea stains out of a plastic cup is really hard. What I found, you don't want to use any kind of abrasive material on it because it'll scratch up the cup and make it harder to clean. So the only real way to clean it is actually with a paper towel, which is weird. Like water and stuff, you can't scrub it out, but like a paper towel somehow removes it nicely. Not that I care. But when I am drinking the herbal infusions, which I am to some extent because I'm sick. Right now, that's tea. They go down too quickly. I just guzzle them. I don't guzzle tea in quite the same way. Probably because it would kill me. I don't know. Like just I'd be urinating so much. I drink a lot of tea. There's no question about that. But I drink coffee faster than tea too. Anyway, so we're at the start of another turn, and this time the 6 points happen. Skip on first rounds. Yeah. So we go up to 9. And now we're at the bill selection. And again, I still don't know if we particularly want to break things. Right now, it looks like the bills are going to pass. Oh no, there's no bill selection. Wait a minute. Did we just go back to... We may not get that 6. I'm not sure what a round counts as. Let's take a look. Okay, we draw and suppose, we select bills, blah, 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 politician action, backbencher action. Where do we go? at the end of all this? Like, I'm really not sure. I have to play the first round. All subsequent rounds begin. Hold election. Yeah, I think we jump all the way back up, and we just don't do the bill selection because there are bills on the table already, which means we jump all the way to the player action turns, and the government backbencher is up first. But you know what? I forgot to give cubes out. There we go. And only one action. Well, only one action cube. I have this. Don't really care about that. Don't really care about debating, so we hobnob again. I guess we'll just draw and show. The Earl of Fiddlesley. Iddesleigh. Yeah. Not really interested in helping the Prime Minister, you know. Collecting a hand seems more valuable, and I'm not getting anything that really directly helps me. Coming over here, we're going to force the backbencher to go first. He two hobnobs. Collects up cards. John Brown. It's body. Not interested in that. Much more interested in this. Oh. So this is a cool card for me to play right now because I have no standing. So I'm going to play this right away and get two of these, and I can't lose any of this. So that's gone. How do I feel about this? Does this open me up for any positions? I need to get standing. This is standing for the flatterer. Oh, for that. Yeah, I've got to get some status before I can do anything. I am not a flatterer, so there's no reason for me to play more of this. I'll hold on to her. Opposition. How do we fucking get standing? Feels like we're not getting any, and I don't know. Yeah. We were actually at 1 at the end of our last turn. We were at 1 at the end of our last turn. You get standing as a backbencher without having to do anything. That's cool. Okay, let me look then. Maybe I've got something. I do not have flatterer ability. I don't have anything else. So at the end of my turn, I get my second one. He's actually at 2. Has he hit anything? Did he want to do something different based on this? He has flatter? No. Okay. But how do I get standing as the opposition leader? I don't rightly know. I don't know. Making bills fail. That'll get me standing as the opposition leader, or forcing him to be withdrawn. How does the Prime Minister get standing? I'm not that worried about that. He has a whole shitload. I'm assuming it'll come through mechanisms, but yeah, failing a bill would be what I want to do. So I kind of want to make his bills break. And I'm actually not allowed to debate against because it's a one-party government right now. Which brings me to the question of ending the pact. Opposition can choose to end it at the start of the opposition action turns, and the PM can end it. These bills help both of us. The PM would like that to succeed, but that's at 0 right now. He's going to have to work for that, maybe. I think we're going to break the pact. We don't like where it is. Well, but these are likely to pass. This one especially is at +10. I think I hold off on that, which means I'll build up my holdings. I'm so good at hobnobbing, I just want to do that again. I can get status or this other stuff. Status is how I take things on. So I will play this and give myself a point of status. I still have a cube left. I can't debate against. I can campaign CMW. Okay, conservatives, we would get 2 extra popularity from that. Middle class, we would get 2. Workers, we would get 2. Do we want to? I don't know. We don't really care about the influence too much. Although breaking this moderate bill might be of value. Okay, why don't we do that? We don't have a 2-level influence. We can't do that. All right, that's why we don't do it. We're not able to go across party lines. Gotta take 2 of these. Prince Albert could give me more status, could give me more favor. Or Daniel O'Connell could increase my influence with Ireland. It's not going to be an election just yet. I'll play Prince Albert and increase my status again. Trying to bring myself up to a point where we can challenge for the government, although that's a difficult government to run. What else am I holding in my hand? We'll hold this. Okay, that's going to put me over to the Prime Minister, but I need to pee. So the Prime Minister, he likes the idea of getting that freebie card. But we're already a +10 there. We're a +10 there. What's our card here? We could get some within Scotland. That would only get us 1 popularity. So, I don't know. Oh, what do we want to do? We moved these. That helped us somehow. Moving towards moderate. That's what did us there. What am I good at? I'm good at hobnobbing. All right, let's hobnob then. Feels like an easy thing to do. Carlisle or C.P. Scott? So, if I drop Liberals, I will moderate the party. I'll lose 3 votes, but I could raise Conservatives twice, which would gain me 4 votes. So I'd only net one popularity, but I'd also change the partisanship of the current party. Which seems the most valuable of the pile? I think I will play that. So 2 conservative points, that gains me 4. Lose a liberal, so I gain one vote there. That wasn't too helpful. And I'm going to drop 10 partisans into moderates. And since this is based on moderates, this goes up another 10, which is very appealing to me. What else can I do? I have 2 more cubes. I can't campaign. I'll hobnob again. That worked nicely. Oh shit, I shouldn't be doing this. I have the event I have to draw first. Hold on. Let's do my event first, because I had 3 cubes. All right, bread riots in Ireland, I could ignore that. That would drop my Ireland. Or I could pay a cube and meet with envoys. That improves my Ireland. Let's do that. This should have happened before I made that choice, but I don't have to go back. So that gets me 2 more popularity. So now the projection for the election is looking better. And now I only have 1 cube, though. How am I at flattering? I'm okay at flattering. I think we want to improve our position there by flattering. A lot of this is like I'm playing with little levers without any idea what they're going to do, but that's okay. Now I get to resolve a bill. I'm going to go for the Lunacy Act. Now, I need to go to the chart to the actual rule here, which should be 9, because I don't know, I'm currently now at 330, 350, which I think says I guarantee I don't have to draw. Yeah, I don't have to draw an uncertainty card, which means this just passes. That gives us 3 additional, as this unified government helps, and then I get a supporter. Now I can't play it at this point, but I look at 2 and choose 1. Mary Shelley. Okay. What would affecting farmers do? Farmers is worth 2 to the Conservatives. Liberals is probably not worth shit to them. No, that's a 0. I could go up by 2 in Liberals and gain a lot of points. Oh shit, I forgot about this. Okay, we gotta recount that, right? No, we don't recount when these drop. Oh fuck. Did I screw something up? It was fine to do the influence, but we don't take these into account yet. Those only happen due to election. I think I like the Shelley one. I don't mind making the party more liberal, I guess. I'm not thrilled about it, but the other option is, you know, a debate capability, which we're doing fine with. So we passed another bill. We go to the challenge phase. And I think nobody's got the status that I have, so nobody can challenge me. Right? You can't just do it on favor, I say. Let's see. Okay. Where is it? Okay. Okay. In a challenge, one player, but on your personal and your favorite court. Always keep your standing. You may challenge if you have more standing or the same standing and at least as much favor. Yeah, that's what I thought. So yeah, you need to beat his standing. No one's at that position. This guy's just building up time, but he's getting points as well through his play of cards. So that's kind of helping there. And we go to, there is no election this turn. So we go back up to the top of parliamentary order. And I'm going to break again. You know, I'm starting to get into the flow, but I feel like I want to walk away each time still. It's not hooking me in enough to make up for the mechanical actions, the rules lookups, and so what yet. But it may. Where are we right now? Well, in terms of popularity, the government's very popular. And we're sitting here at plus 10 on the all MPs. That's likely to pass. The PM can kind of force things through. He has the last turn, so he has a capability to play with the abilities more. And as long as there's a pact, it's hard to break things. And that's going to help him with the middle class, which is moderates, essentially. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, we're all gaining the same victory points, but the key is to have those victory points, to have the 100 victory points as prime minister. It doesn't really hurt you to maintain the pact, to maintain the unified government, as long as you can get out of it and make some points. And I'm not seeing really an opportunity to make more points right now by beating the government. It might just make sense to ride the pact as long as you possibly can. Now, who gets to... Let's look again at the pact rules, because this is important. The opposition can choose to end it at any time, basically, at the start of their turn. The PM ends it by putting a party bill on the board. So he can choose to end the pact by making, you know, he can pick liberal bills and try to, propose them. And that immediately breaks the pact. But kind of feels like, we're in the right place just continuing the pact, because we're getting things passed, we're governing. We might not govern. Now, if we manage to get the election results continuing to grow, there are advantages to being the prime minister, I think, then we get to a point where, maybe we can't be busted. Maybe we can't lose the election. But we can start losing popularity, which starts to cost us power. So, yeah, it's like this weird balancing act I'm making in my head here. There is something that's kind of troubling me here. I made it downstairs, filled another pipe, knew I wanted to talk about this. Unfortunately, my flint ran out, so I can't actually use the pipe right now. But consider this, because this is a game, it's about elections, it's about party power and whatnot, but it's also about governing. I'm not facing any problems, right? The events come up and they're like, oh, here's a problem that you have to do, and you get a political effect off of it. But you know what you don't actually have to do? You don't actually have to resolve the problem. You don't have to do anything about it. They're not like... I want to compare this to something that also has governing in it, in the same sort of sense, along with elections and whatnot, which is Republic of Rome. In Republic of Rome, you have standing problems in place. Some of them, just cards that are out there that are going to accumulate a threat in terms of military actions you have to take and whatnot. Some of them are problems that the players' management of the government may have caused, such as there not being enough finance or whatever, and you having to figure out some way to increase the finances and pay off the troops and whatnot. So you have main governing, policies that you're implementing within the course of the game. Here, it feels like I'm just reacting to these random events cards, taking care of the issue of the moment. Now, I don't know how long a turn is supposed to be, but some of these issues are longer standing things or are reflective of longer standing things, and I feel like they should have some greater impact. Like, I don't know how to put it. Take, say, the withdrawal from Afghanistan that the U.S. did, a couple of years ago, whatever. And what a botched job that was, right? It was something that both parties essentially had already agreed to, one way or another. We're getting out. Great, we're getting out. One party left the other with perhaps some problems involved in it, which, whoever was going to win that election was going to have to deal with the trickiness of that. But it's like, I feel like there should be things out there that are like that. Things that are more long-standing issues that don't just erupt as a single card. And I also don't think the scenarios are going to improve on that. We may give one a try, or a couple of them a try, to see how they handle, because they're more historical in basis, rooting you to a time. You have parties that have individual goals that they have to hunt down. But what I just don't feel like is that I have a situation where I have to deal with the buildup of a problem, and maybe my solution to it cuts off the problem before it ever happens, and that prevents me from having to deal with a more difficult problem, but it also prevents me from getting the rewards from successfully dealing with something that looks really scary, right? So there's kind of like, I like that kind of balance, and I just don't feel like this game has it. Now, to be fair, there aren't a lot of games that are like Republic of Rome that have that kind of thing hanging out there, just consistent things coming up that are hanging out there, that are problems that you have to deal with in the political realm. I'm thinking about other political games. Some of them are just about elections. In a way, this feels like it's just about the careers, but there's room for something that has more depth to it. So, like, I think about something like Die Macht or Road to the White House. Road to the White House is about winning an election. That's all it's about. Your positions on various issues just influence your ability to, react in debates and whatnot. You don't really have a lot of capability to do anything in that game. Die Macht, I don't know what the fuck to say about that. That felt like such a Euro. It felt so disassociated with the actual election issues. Canadian Civil War is one where there's overwhelming problems in play, but you're not really dealing with them in any kind of situation. I kind of feel like there should be some kind of tracks that are dealing with the Irish problem, dealing with this, dealing with that, and that would present effects to the temporal events, the very limited, finite temporal events that come up in the deck that you just deal with once and it has one effect. Well, there might be multipliers to those or something along that line. It feels like there's just not enough meat to the governing aspect of the game. It would be it would be potentially a much more complex game under those circumstances. I know some people who like this have been playing Mr. President, the solo game. I'd love to hear, whether that has sort of long-standing problems that you have to cope with. Because as it stands, there's really very little game state here. There's what popularity you have with various sectors, there's your current government MPs, there's the positions you have, there's the current, projection of the election, which is just built out of these, there's the score and the favor, but it really is all focused on that next election. There's nothing kind of, I don't know, to the side of that feels like you're tracking it. It feels like you're only tracking who controls the government and what can they generate in terms of laws. Again, I think Republic of Rome is a particularly rare instance where something really beautiful is emerging from that game because of the way it's designed. But I would kind of prefer to see something, that built off of that kind of concept more when you're looking at, I'm governing and trying to win elections at the same time. Because that's really the balance. The balance is trying to get your partisan agenda through, right? That's one part. Keep the country in good shape. That's another part. And win elections. Like you want that that trifecta, and it's really, really hard to do that. I don't know. Again, with Republic of Rome, you have a weird mechanism in there, which is that, like, look, you don't want Rome to fall, right? You don't want Rome to do too badly, or everybody loses. Whatever that means in terms of your win-loss thing, in terms of how you place. Is it better for everyone to lose, or is it better to come in, second or fifth, out of a number of players with a healthy, living Rome? Interesting question. And it might be a big difference depending on whether or not Rome is sliding towards dictatorship, right? If it's sliding towards dictatorship, maybe letting Rome fall isn't that bad a thing. But in this case, I don't feel like, England is not, the British Empire is not going to fall, right? But it might suffer important setbacks. It might suffer, there might be diplomatic crises, etc. There might be issues that are of great importance to the country as a whole that aren't necessarily aligned to one party or the other. The scenarios, I know at least one of them, the Irish Home Rule question one, you have at least one of the players has a specific goal that it's only a two-player scenario, by the way, that he's trying to obtain, which is he's trying to get the Irish Home Rule bills passed. And if he fails at that, he can't win. I don't know if the opposition simply wins if he doesn't win. But yeah, at least that gives an exterior framework. I feel like there's something really lacking here, like some kind of, diplomatic standing within the world and economic standing within the world and stuff like that. I don't know how that would all be expressed, but I feel like there's just something missing that would allow for a way to look at how effectively you're governing and what the impacts would be later on, which would probably end up being modifiers to some of the event charts. Because, as we've seen, throughout the years, sometimes government policies, which seem like a great idea, which are very popular, which maybe have some short-term advantages, can have real long-term consequences. And I like the idea of exploring stuff like that. That may be going a little too far. At the very least, though, the policies should extend a little more than that one turn. The mind is not that unfocused. Right, so let's keep going. Another 6 points because the pact is still in play. No bill selection. Player action turns. Haven't handed out these. I gotta remember to do these. I mean, it doesn't really hurt me. Still 3. Still 1. Just making sure. All right, the government has to go first. Again, I see no reason not to hobnob. It's what you got to do when you're a minor backbencher. Cardinal Newman. Again, I can improve the government position, but I would rather he lose an election than win one, because that opens the way up for me. That's how I see it. Okay, that's my action phase, so I get a point. We go over here. I'm going to force him to go first again, and once again, he too will hobnob. He's good at campaigning. Thackeray helps the party. Is helping the party a valuable thing? It might be. Would increasing my status help me? I am in position at the end of this round to become the chief whip if I have influence. I do not. I do have influence, so I'm going to become the chief whip very shortly. Let me just check his. He did not have. He's not getting status. He's not getting favor. He doesn't have flatter. His points are just not good enough, so he's aiming for Chief Whip probably as his first thing. And let me just make sure. Yeah, I have not been drawing the kind of support I want. So over here, would an increase of favor actually help me? I have enough favor to reach this point. I do not have enough for any other position. Well, I have enough favor, but I don't have the status for any other position. So I think I'll hold my cards again. But at the end of my turn, this goes up, and I become Chief Whip. What do I get out of that? Well, from now on, I can coordinate debate. I'll have 2 cubes. I can create a minus 30, assuming the pact is not in existence. I don't remember what the limitation to the pact was. So that you can't debate. Like, I know I can't debate a bill down in pact, but I think I can play things that reduce the pact, which means I could coordinate debate without debating. Right? That sounds like debate. Let's look at supporters. It's not going to be in supporters. Career cards. Standard political actions, while others unique political actions or bonuses described on the card. See, this is really weird because it feels like the word debate being in there, I shouldn't be allowed to do that if we have a unity government, a pact or whatever. But debate 6.12, 6.3. 6.3 says debate cards. What the fuck's that? Is that just the action? Oh no, that's Yeah, that's this. Which would be open only to packed. I select a bill at less than or equal to 340, and I could throw that into play. Why haven't I been doing this? I don't know. Where is that? I mean, this doesn't cost me anything. I would now be here. I would have to spend, I have to spend cubes to do this. But this is actually a valuable thing because I get a choice of increasing my status or otherwise. I think I've been neglecting a capability that we have. And his debate card is always in favor, and he probably could be doing this instead of collecting supporters. I don't know, because supporters are kind of cool. We're not good at hobnobbing, but yeah, neither one is good at hobnobbing, and it doesn't matter. They're not holding a position where they can hobnob terribly effectively. Gosh, well, I've spent my cube. I can't do anything about it. I've achieved the position of chief whip, and I'm not seeing one way or the other whether or not I can do this. So by debating, that's doing this. The debate card is something other than this, which I just forgot about, right? That I could even do. I don't know how much value it is, except that I can gain status and or favor by playing the debate card. Something that he really wants to gain is favor. He's having trouble getting it. He at least got a position, which is of some value. He's now the chief whip for the for the opposition. All right, well, anyway, we're going to swap batteries and we'll go to the opposition leader here. Here's the problem with this. If we succeed in this bill, we're not gaining anywhere. What are our supporters saying? I could create more middle class votes. We're gonna have a potential election. Now, of course, he could withdraw the election. Middle class or workers, we could increase either one of them. Either one gets us 2 popularity, which would drop him down to close to even, at least if he goes on the election. Right now, he's probably going to pull the election or try to pull the election off. We're allowed to kill the pact at this point so that we could debate against it. Which doesn't seem like a terrible choice. What else can we do that's of terrible value? Not much. We could campaign for the election, C, M, and W. Conservatives is worth 2. Middle class would be worth 2. Workers would be worth 2. None of them are terribly potent for me. I am going to hobnob again, because I'm good at that. And okay, we have G, F, and W here. Gentry are worth 2 to us. Farmers are worth 2 to us. And workers are worth 2 to us. This is obviously the more powerful of the 2 cards because we could gain some favor off of it. What we really want is standing, though. Well, I'll take this one. She's just, I think, more valuable to me. And do I want to play some of these? What about hitting them for workers? If we hit them for workers, we cost them too. Middle class or workers? Do we help our middle class standing or do we hurt their worker standing? We help our middle class standing. That gives us two, but this is a net effect thing. And then we're going to debate getting rid of the pact. And drop this down to 0. Making it a crapshoot. Is it worth it? Because here's the thing, he gets to go. Screw that. We keep the pact in place. We keep the pact in place. We don't think we're going to be able to control this situation. Why does he have a third cube? I think that third cube is an extra cube, and I'm using it to mark who the players are. Okay. So if we keep the pact in place, instead of debating, we still have a cube left. What do we want to do with that cube? We will campaign with that cube. CMW. I don't particularly want to make things more partisan here, although that does open stuff up. We'll campaign with the middle class and take 2 more. And now the election's getting awfully close. Okay. We go to the events. Revolution in France. I could ignore it, I could denounce it, or I could arrange an asylum for the ex-monarch. Well, this is an interesting question. I've got the advantage here, so I think arranging asylum doesn't sound too terrible. What am I good at? I'm good at hobnobbing. I'll arrange asylum. That adds gentry a space for the liberals, which gets me 2 political points back. And you look at my supporters. I could debate, increase my chances of winning. That would bring us up to 350. That would be an automatic. We'd get some points. Sounds like a good idea. So we'll debate this. That sends it up. And that means we're going to be able to pass that bill. And then we're going to improve our standing. The Duke of Argyll gives us Scotland. We get a point in Scotland. And Mary Shelley, do we want 2 liberals or do we want to hurt? Well, hurting the enemy with liberals doesn't do anything for us. So we'll go up 5 points with the liberals. So that puts us up to a 9, and we're in a very, very strong position now going into an election. And the election's going to happen because we get to choose whether or not to hold the election. It's cool in parliamentary systems. But first, we resolve a bill. Well, this one's at automatic victory, which means we succeed. We don't get anything bonus for succeeding, except this. Well, there's two victory points that both sides get because it's a cooperative bill. But we also have helped the middle class by 1 space, which gets us 2 more popularity. Is there something we haven't passed? We passed this. We passed this. We passed all these bills. Very successful government, right? All right. Now it's time to hear challenges. I don't think anybody's in a position to challenge yet. Their statuses aren't high enough. which means it's time to hold an election. We choose to hold the election. And to do this, we roll a die for the uncertainty. Currently, the vote would put us at 347 and 311. And the third card down. 1, 2, 3. Obviously, if I roll a 19 or 20, I have to re-roll. The uncertainty says, I think it says +4 to the election. Which means, what is that +4 of? Is that +4 MPs or is that +4 on the popularity? Dunno. This is rule 11. One problem with such a thick rule book. Okay, so the election VP. See, this looks like VP to me. Right. It's not very good at giving you procedures here. To start an election, it draws an uncertainty and applies its value to the number of seats the party is projected. Okay, so I was supposed to get 347. I get 4 extra seats, that means. So that's going to put me at 351. 351. I don't round off to determine the winner, but we maintain the government at 351. We never move the election projection marker. Okay. We do not have a minority government. Election VP. If the government or opposition gains seats in the election, it scores 2 victory points plus 1 for every 10 seats. So I was at 330. I'll be going to 350, which means we score 4 victory points. We're still a pact. So that didn't really matter, but we're actually padding our election results, which may be difficult. It may make it difficult for us to maintain as strong a position. This is the possible disadvantage to that card. There's no government changeover, and now we have to determine what we have. We have 350 seats there because we round. The partisan points, we add those up. 60, 140. So there are going to be 140 partisan points. Uh-oh. That means the moderates are only at 210 at this point, which is going to make the Liberal Party more difficult to control in terms of getting moderate bills passed, an important issue to realize there. And that's going to be the end of the sequence. We go to the parliamentary order. And you know what I want to do? I want to set up what the next bills are at this point. So, still in pact, we go up to 30 victory points for all of us. I hope I increase these where I'm supposed to. And that means it's time to perform bill selection. And the opposition definitely wants to pull liberal bills for this. So the opposition leader, I've determined, goes first. This is a partisan, gives a lot of victory points to him if he chooses it. He's got a decent partisan vote, but nowhere near 330. So that's appealing. Let's see if we can get even worse. This is an all at minus 30. That sounds too dangerous. So I am going to pick this one. I got to swap batteries again. Lord Russell's got to make his decision here. Does he want the PM to fail, basically? Is this time where he wants to push more liberal votes in play? Ideologically, nobody's really tied to anything in this, right? The only thing I have is sheer party politics. Do I want to propose things that'll be popular with the liberals that will get in his way of putting good bills up? I'm a long way from gaining power, so I'm going to draw a cross-party, see what I get. Which is not bad. It'll also strengthen the party, but strengthening the party is not necessarily a good thing as a backbencher. I'll draw a liberal bill as well, see which one I want. This is a partisan bill at plus 30. That would be at 170. That's quite a ways away. That would be a failure. I'll put a cross-party bill up. And again, nobody knows what I'm actually putting forward. And we go to the backbencher here, and so, like, you know, would I still be chief whip? I would still be chief whip if we change parties, even though it's harder to be chief whip of the governing party. I would still be able to hold that position. So that's kind of cool. Which means I think we will follow our party lead. Insolvent Debtors Act. That's an all minus 10. That's a dangerous card to hand him. We don't really want to hand him something like that. He might pass that, and that would be terrible. I'm kind of afraid of drawing another bad liberal card, so I'm going to draw a cross-party. And that'll be a moderates plus 20, which is unlikely to pass. And we'll put that forward. And that means the three reveal their cards to the PM as to what he wants to do. Now the PM's doing just peachy, but he likes this. 230 probably not going to pass. 140 almost certainly not going to pass. This one is the most likely to pass. I'm going to draw a cross party, see what I get. All at 30, that's pretty good. Weights and measures. That just gives victory points, sounds good. All at minus 10, but it gives me bonuses. This is banning children under 10 from working in coal mines. You gotta say, you know, parental rights and liberties and everything, these fucking liberals are against all the things that the conservatives stand for. Oh, vaccination. Wow, that's going to get the anti-vaxxers pissed. Do I particularly... Is there a chance that I could get something liberal passed? I've got 3 right now. I'm not happy. I'll go with another cross-party. We're gathering up points here. Okay. This is a moderate plus 10. That's shitty. We're probably not able to do that. We really kind of need the entirety of the liberal government behind us. And these are garbage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put weights and measures up, which is going to be a plus 30 from all. I'm already plus 20. Oh, yeah, but there's just not enough moderates. I'm already at plus 20, so plus 30 and plus 20 gives me a plus 50 on the weights and measures. We'll probably pass that. Mines and calories, calories. That's going to be at 340, so that's at plus, 350 minus 10. That's at plus 10 because of the minus 10 there. And we'll take his Vaccination Act, which will also be at plus 10. And now we find the other cards. lot of Liberal cards being discarded. Now these get to be recycled, but once again, we did not put any Liberal cards up, so we don't break the pact, which means we're letting the opposition tag along with our, good moderate choices here. That's the bill selection. A bill was selected from Lord Russell, Earl Russell, so that's worth a point to him. Where do I know that from? Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have anything to really make that visible to me. Apply the 1 VP. There we go. Okay. And we'll be going to the player action turns. And at this point, I'm going to load this up because I've set the stage for essentially Melbourne's second. I don't know how many years these are going to, these reflect. I don't know what the scale is. One of the things is that elections can be called at varying times, so I don't think there's a fixed time scale to how long turns are. They tend to take a certain amount of time, but it feels to me like I've allowed an election to happen before it's required to happen. And I think if you take this thing, you're going to be put on an election that you're forced to take constitutionally, essentially. Not a written constitution, but yeah. So that's where we're at now. So far, the pact hasn't broken. We've been passing tons and tons. Well, we've passed 3 cross-party bills before. We've got 3 more in play now. It's kind of hard to break. Now, this guy, if the opposition leader goes first and breaks with the party, this guy can do some nasty coordinated debates and cut the chance of certain bills passing. But here's the problem. You don't know which bill is going to pass, that PM's going to bring to the table. And you can always withdraw a bill if it looks too ugly. Yeah. I don't know, am I being too conservative in my play? These guys unwilling to break the pact because they're tagging along on victory points. They're not particularly trying. I mean, they're pulling Liberal cards. They're trying to bring that government down. They're not, keeping it alive, but once the bills that it proposes are up there, it's very, very hard to make a decision to break with that, because you're going to gain more victory points by tagging along with the government under this kind of circumstance. And the government has not really had a lot of options that look like good choices to put forward from the PM's point of view. Maybe the backbencher should have put something unpalatable up and forced the Prime Minister to draw 3 cards, one of which may not work. As it stands, it looks like he's pretty much set to have another successful term. All right, let's send it up.